wasn't sure that this one would get its own review video, but I got sidetracked based off a question and my reading has fallen behind. So even though this finally came in, I'm not doing the review video for that today. I'm sorry, guys. Instead, we will go ahead and talk about The Lesser Devil, also by Christopher Ruocchio. It is a short story set in between books 1 and 2. If you have not seen the Empire of Silence video, it's right here. You can go check that out first. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the overview and so many spoilers and my thoughts and feelings in hopefully this short video for the short story. If you have not heard of the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio, it is being told by and following Lord Hadrian Marlowe. Right now I think it's 6 books, 7th book coming out soon, or 6th book coming out soon. It's going to be a 7-book series of main novels. And in it, the first book, we're following Hadrian from when he's very young, 20-somethings, as he first sets out from his planet into the vast empire, the vast Solarian Empire across the galaxy, and the exploits and hardships he faces. But on his planet still, we are introduced to his family. Mostly, this will come into play with our book now, The Lesser Devil. And Crispin Marlowe, the younger Marlowe, this one is a third-person perspective, so we are following him in the events about 30 years after Hadrian has departed, and just seeing it from Crispin's perspective. Oh my gosh, I have so much more appreciation for Crispin now. Because in the first book, we are shown this brutish person who cares for fighting, and he doesn't care about knowledge and books and people, really. The story, though, follows Crispin as he is going to his grandmother's deathbed, the vicereign of the Delios system, maybe? So she's in charge of this system placed there by the emperor, and she's 800 plus years old. She's had a very long life, but now it is finally coming to an end. On the way there, though, their shuttle is attacked and they're crash landed in the mountains, but they are kind of rescued by this group of cultists. That is literally what the description says. And they have to make a stand in the village against an old enemy that was thought gone. I'll say this because I think it's very important that this looks at like a sibling relationship. And it really, because you're in a different sibling's head and thinking it differently, it shows you what you probably would have guessed from the first book, looking at Crispin as, they are so different. And just the actions, and you're like, he probably is different than Hadrian thinks. Like, Hadrian sees the reactions this way, but it's a younger brother. He probably has idolized you his whole life. As not being a younger sibling, I can't really say if this is true for all of them. Probably not, but it seems to always be a thing in books that the younger siblings really idolize the older ones, regardless of if the older ones realize it. And it is. Crispin has been living in Hadrian's shadow even with Hadrian gone. And he just has so much love for his brother that they were never able to see that and never able to really realize that because of the environment they grew up in and the father that they had, and always being kind of pitted against each other. But even still, all these years later, Crispin looks back at Hadrian with fondness and like wonders where he is. I don't know what else I could say without spoilers, and this is going to be different because I'm not breaking it down as much, but it's a short story. So into spoilers we go. Goodbye. If you don't want to watch anymore, the rating will be at the end. You can jump to that. So the first thing, it starts out with the book. It says that it's been 30 years since Hadrian disappeared. And then we're introduced to this newest Marlowe child, Sabine. And okay, this is an inconsistency here. It says, Crispin says it's been 30 years, maybe 30 plus, but why didn't we just round up to the next decade if that's going to be the case? Because he also says that it took 10 years for his father to get approved to have another child. And then Sabine was born, and Sabine's already an adult. He said she's a woman grown 30 years. What? Our timeline is very confused. I mean, I kind of get it. It's probably been like maybe 40 years exactly, but at the same point, why didn't you just say Hadrian's been gone for 40 plus years and Sabine is 30? Moving forward from that, though, I really loved that this was introduced and that he does have Sabine and he had someone to have this bond with, because they have a much better sibling bond. I don't know if it's because with her being female, then there wasn't the rivalry quite so much in every aspect. I don't know, because females can inherit titles too, as we saw in Amesh, and as we're seeing with his aunt, who's going to be inheriting his grandmother's duchy. It's just they actually do have a great relationship and a great dynamic. He is super protective of her, and is so sweet. It's one of the things that first made Crispin more lovable, and then he is constantly thinking about Hadrian, thinking, you know, he's in Hadrian's shadow, but he doesn't think this maliciously. He wishes the best for Hadrian. He hopes he's still alive somewhere. I realize I just said his name in 2 different ways. But Crispin hopes, you know, that Hadrian will come avenge them at one point even. And he talks Hadrian up to Sabine. Like, he tells them, like, you're so much like them, you guys are both so smart. And maybe he thinks at one point she has Hadrian's ear for languages, ability with languages, and it's just the sibling bond. And I hope all of the Marlowe children can meet at some point. I really do, even though they said that, like, this isn't necessarily needed to read the whole series. So that's, I'm a bit worried. And I was like, oh no, will they never meet up again? But I want Hadrian to be able to see his brother in this other light as an adult, and like he's not this brute, because they were children. They were children in the first book. They really were. Crispin's journey through this, and him actually accepting, you know, peasants and risking his life for them, even because he sees that they have worth, and he just becomes such a better person. I mean, he already wasn't a bad person, really. He was just kind of, you know, a noble, ignorant, not caring as much as of other people. It's just his growth and his journey as he realizes really what the wider universe might be. And I love Crispin so much more now. I do. Because, you know, he's willing to die for his sister. He's willing to die for these strangers that took them in. And his thought process to things, he's more open to things. The other big revelation, which is something that I wondered, I guess it wouldn't be big, I wondered this when it first introduced us to the Chantry. I was like, what happened to the big religions of Earth? No way did they go quietly into the night. They didn't. So the cultists are Catholics. The Catholics live on reservations. It's probably not supposed to be funny, but I think it was hilarious. I do. And it explains how the Chantry started, kind of, or at least from this perspective, how the Chantry started and the history that the Catholics have maintained of, you know, these years. And they say, of course, they will maintain because they went through all the things on Earth and everything. It's like, we've been around for 25,000 years. So, I mean, this isn't going to wipe us out. None. You know, the Chantry can take our ways and stuff, like, and it explains how everything that the Chantry is, they took from other religions. Okay, the Chantry started, it said, in the 1st or 2nd millennium of the Empire after they had beaten the Marconii, and it was a political experiment because they wanted to, you know, deify the first emperor. They wanted his name to be very important. And also they wanted, you know, to watch people and sow fear of machines. And if they controlled everything, and they controlled people this way, then finding these people, also seeing this through Crispin's eyes, I think was a much more emotional thing, and much, it could, how to put this the best way, I don't know. It just seems better coming from Crispin versus Hadrian, because he would find it just as knowledge. It wouldn't be, I feel, as impactful for him. Also, the settlement, the people that take them in, they are French. It seems like most of the empire was formed by, like, it's the British Empire in space, it sounds like, almost, because English is the galactic standard language. Our big bag, though, is exactly the sins of the father are coming around to haunt the children. Because remember House Orrin, that it was mentioned so many times in the first book, like that this is what Lord Alistair Marlowe got known for. This is how he made people afraid of him, how he cemented his seat of power. Because he wiped out House Orrin. He blew the shields and, you know, opened them up to the vacuum of space where no air and everything, and murdered the entire family. Except it wasn't. Because the matriarch of the family, the Lord's mother, possibly as old as Crispin's grandmother, possibly older based off how she was described, she was out of system. And this also will give us the first glimpse of what the Chantry and all the people who believe in that religion are so afraid of, the demons. This is, you know, people and machines. Because she's very old. She's on a life support system for sure. And there's something else. She has androids, or at least an android in her employ that Crispin has to go against. At the end, though, we are seeing Crispin as he has witnessed the destruction that House Orrin has brought, the people that have been lost and that are still alive but hurt, and it's really showing how far he has come through just this one battle, and even though, as he says, he's been in countless battles in the Colosso and he killed people even then, that this was so much different. You can see like things that are going to haunt him and things that he will carry with him, and I feel like he's going to be a much better leader and person because of this, though his father's probably still going to be around for a very long time and he can't actually be a ruler over his people for a while. So I think this is going to turn him into a much better person, which is why I wish the Marlowe siblings could come together and they could just see this. And as he is knighting one of the soldiers, I think knighting, he's, wanting him promoted and given stuff because, he saved his life so many times. And then one of the peasants he wants to raise up to the plebeian class, which is still right under the Palatine. Right under the Palatine class. And at first the person is like, no, I can't, because even though you will be grateful, but your children's children and, my children might have to suffer because they will start to forget, what I did. I know you will be good. But, he comes around to it. So I like to see how that is, because I think that Jean-Luc will keep him lined up good. I think that they will be a good pair to keep things going well. With him being a Catholic, though, that will make him face persecution probably, and his children will have problems. The book rating was, of course, a 4 stars. I don't think anything in the series is going to fall below it. It was a really short read. It was super enjoyable. I hope this video ended up being short. I had to keep restarting because I would lose my train of thought, mostly because I couldn't think of a word. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, I hope that you will subscribe and come back for the next review in like a week or so. And hopefully you're finding something awesome to read today. I'll see y'all later.